I think today I don't have, I have problems with, with voice, okay. Well, I would like to welcome you in this panel. What we are going to discuss is the dual face, let's say, of agentic AI, the new emerging technology, and to see the agent of trust and the agent of threats as well. So, together with me, we have Dimitra Xintara. Dimitra is a senior cybersecurity manager in BWC. We have George Papakyriakopoulos. George is the CISO in Scrooge, a well-known store, and a success, I would say, a success Greek business.
For Greece, for sure.
Yes, for sure. And last but not least, my colleague, a friend of mine, Constantinos Patsakis, professor in University of Piraeus. So, as I said previously, we would like to explore, to see what is the new technology and the threats, as well as the benefits of agentic AI. And you have listened a lot of things about AI, agentic AI. Costa, I would like to ask you, agentic AI is something really new, something really revolutionary, or it's an evolution of, I would say, scripting and automation?
Okay. Is my mic working? Yeah, okay. So I don't believe that I will use a Greek word for that. There's no Parthenogenesis here. Okay? So practically we can say that it's an evolution and emerging of what you would call scripting, okay, and AI. So practically we have an automation of processes that it's going far too fast, I would say, for the moment, and it's able to automate a lot of tasks that we are doing. Most of them are, we can say, small, but it's good enough for what we want right now.
Okay, Costa, would you like to add anything on this? George, sorry.
Yeah,
So Costa.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a new concept. I think it's not even an evolution in the sense of a bigger thing. It's actually more niche, right? So we had, like, the field of AI has traditional machine learning and data analytics, and then within that field you have transformers, and then LLMs are even a subset of that with a very particular set of applications within the ML space. The difference is that although it's a niche field, it became something bigger because it actually affects almost all parts of society. At least that's what the media keep telling us about, right? For the last 3 years. So it became an encompassing term for many different technologies, I think. And the success was that they turned it into a chatbot, which was the easier interface for the people that are not technical to interact with. We had the same evolutions with other things, like, you know, cloud was the next big thing, then crypto was the next big thing, and the dot-com bubble before that. But every time these technologies actually remained on the fringes. Mostly engineers and technical people fully understood them and were able to leverage these new technologies. The rest of the people just, you know, were consumers of the technology. But now with AI, the difference is that any one of you can be a consumer because it's very easily accessible, and the bar to access came very low. So this is why it's been like described as a new thing.
It's an evolutionary step. The people that worked in this area, they expect for this. It's a normal, it's the evolution of the things. But now, let's say we have the marketing. Now we have also the focus of all the society, of all the world, I would say, that now everybody focus on AI.
Yeah.
So that's why they have the focus. I don't know, Dimitra, if you would like to add something?
However, in terms of cybersecurity, we need also to consider additional threats. AI threats, AI risks. We need to consider threats that have to do with the models, with the prompts, with the outputs, the training data, testing data, and also in terms of privacy, because, yes.
How would you think, do you believe, Dimitra, that this creates a new ecosystem of threats, something new? Okay, we had denial of service, we have web vulnerabilities, malware exploitation, all that stuff. Do we have something new now with the emergence of AI?
Yes, for sure. We have new threats and new risks, But we cannot say for sure that those risks are cybersecurity, purely cybersecurity risks. Most of them, the impact of those risks has to do with the data protection part, the privacy part, the bias, the discriminations.
Dimitra, since you are working in a big firm that is a consulting firm also, do you know if, let's say, the ecosystem of the companies, of the infrastructure, do they consider these new threats that are coming? Do they have...
I think that they have the innovation, the acceleration, and all those stuff first. And I think that the divisions that have to do with innovation, they're going faster than the internal divisions that has to do with the compliance and the cybersecurity and the privacy. So I think that we're a little bit behind on this.
I think that the attackers are all the time one step ahead. I would say they are innovators. So they innovate, and the innovators like us, Costa, are doing research, we follow them. So, George, since you were a red teamer some years ago, and you have all these mindset, now, if you were an attacker or a red teamer and an ethical attacker, how this whole agentic AI would create extra power to your job, or what is the new challenges and the new opportunities that you would have as an attacker, as a red teamer?
I would say that the main thing is the attackers have one thing in mind, right? And at least that's my perspective from the business side. Obviously, Kostas will tell you what research comes out on the attacking side, but what we see in the business, the attackers still have the same mindset. They only want one thing, to achieve the best results possible for them, getting to the data, getting access, exfiltrating or destroying a company, the fastest way possible, the easiest way possible, with the least amount of time and effort spent, because they have to do that times X to attack many different companies, and it's also their core business, right? So they don't do sophisticated stuff just because they like to do sophisticated stuff. They do stuff that work. If they're simple, they're simple. If they're complex, they're complex. It depends on what they're trying to achieve. So I would say the biggest risk that emerged from AI is not new tooling. I think we've seen some new tools, like the Anthropic paper that said the whole automation with MCP servers, doing the recon and the exploitation. But this is just an integration of existing tools and automating them through an AI agent. It's not a novel. They're not finding novel attacks in that sense. They will eventually, I think, but we're not there yet. I think what changed is the speed, right? So before you had to do humans versus humans. Obviously, you had your scripts, you had your automation, but there was a human operator in the loop. So there was definitely a delay until a breach happened and then data were exfiltrated or a lateral movement happened. Nowadays, it's much faster. I think all of the vendor reports and the threat intel reports say that actually from breach to exfiltration, it's like something like 9 minutes average now. And it used to be hours, and it used to be days back 10 years ago. So the defenders also have to keep up with that. They can no longer rely on manual incident response or a manual analysis on the SOC. They need to match the speed, because within 10 minutes, you might lose your whole database, and it's too late. Even if you do the analysis afterwards, it's too late. So you also need the same automation or similar automation that can act on your behalf, at least for surefire cases. Obviously, if it's more of a gray thing, you cannot let it take all the decisions. But you need to be able to keep up with the attacking speed, so you have to use the same tools to speed up your response. I think that's the biggest risk we're currently facing.
May I intervene here? So
Yeah, of course.
I believe there's another perspective. So there are different attack vectors. So take, for example, the case of Windows 11, that you have an agent inside, and you can ask it, can you grab the documents that have a password or whatever? And immediately, everything will fire up. So it's not only me using the agent from the malicious side, but it's also me as an attacker using the agent that is installed in yours. And currently, there are no guardrails or measures to mitigate that. Because mostly people are trying to push the functionality than the security.
Yeah.
Because it's a new technology. The other aspect, however, for me, which is very important, is that the whole part about AI and agentic and all these aspects is that it's lowering the bar for the attacker, because in the past you needed to have specific expertise. Nevertheless, now You can gain this expertise because you just use AI and it's just trying to do that. So this raises the automation from the attacker. This lowers the bar, but it also is boosting the scale in terms of who can do it, how he can do it, etc. So this is really important.
So we have less capable attackers now, because let's say 10 years ago, to be an attacker, you should have at least a team, a capable team to perform an attack. Now with less capable attacker, but with a higher motivation, and motivation is money, for sure, they have tools or a tool set to perform an attack. Thank you. Dimitra, currently we have everything on the cloud, everything, logs, all our information. Is there any threat that, is there any consideration that we might train the hackers of the future? Because we have all our information there, everything is kept there, and if this information is disclosed, we have a data breach there, or someone has access to our data, then he can train his tool or her tool and perform fabulous attacks.
This is the same question that we have done to ourselves some years ago when we have all the infrastructure on-premise and then we moved to cloud. This is the same question. So first of all, why do you believe that we are secure on-prem? Because we are not. So when you're moving your data in the cloud, so you need to do third-party risk management. You need to consider the assurance part that the cloud provider is providing to you. You need to consider the different parts of the cybersecurity, which parts are located to your side and which parts are located to the cloud provider side. And you need to do your part. You need to assess the cloud providers. You need to take more strong controls in terms of encryption. And of course, to consider the next big thing, which is the post-quantum. So you need to have a post-quantum secure encryption to your data in order for you to be a little bit more secure. To be honest, to feel a little bit more secure.
To feel. George, since you have experience in a big Greek company with a lot of data, what do you think? Do we are mature enough in Greece to keep this data secure, safe, and to be proactive? Let's say if we can face a possible attack or a possible data breach.
I mean, I agree, it's the same as cloud, right? We tend to centralize data stores for the last 10, 15 years because it's easier to manage and gives us a lot of room to tackle more high-level problems, right? We no longer care about maintaining our infrastructure, we care about more high-level business problems to solve. I think the issue with maturity is twofold. We have the good parts, which is we live in the EU, so regulatory environment here is much more focused on these things, on data protection, privacy. That is in the US, for example. That's basically a war zone, and you can do whatever you want. At the other end, we are always behind, cutting-edge technology, research and tooling and capabilities, and also skill set. I mean, I think we have the skill set, but we don't have the budget, the money, the time to do it properly. So we're definitely constantly playing catch-up. I think the biggest risk with centralizing it in platforms like that is, especially like OpenAI was the first that came out. OpenAI, even if now it's a huge company with a multi-billion or even a trillion valuation almost, it's still a startup. Remember that 5 years ago it didn't even exist as a company, right? So we cannot assume that companies like that had enough time to build proper security measures, the same as Google or Microsoft might have done in the last 50 years. So our data, we're not sure if they're actually safe where they are, and I think that this whole thing creates a supply chain nightmare, at least from the business side. It's not us putting our data on OpenAI directly, or Google or Claude, is that every vendor we use out there, whether it's Salesforce, Zendesk, Tableau, you name it, they're also using their AI tools, or partners that also use AI tools. So even if you try to completely avoid the problem, you're actually going to end up in the same place, because your data, maybe not directly, but indirectly will end up in platforms like that. And because there's not enough regulation, especially the other side of the Atlantic, you cannot enforce legal contracts that protect you from this risk. So you need to assume there will be a breach at some point, and I will predict that one of these big LLM vendors will get breached in the next 5 years. You need to be prepared to identify it quickly and B, contain it quickly, because you're not going to get away. You're not going to avoid getting breached, but you need to be able to respond quickly and minimize the damage, because it might kill your company before you manage to do that. I think that's the biggest problem we're currently facing.
Costa, do you think that federation of having data or distributed processing are mature as technologies, are techniques to be incorporated by, let's say, the business sector in order to be protected? Because in research we have security solutions or architectures where, okay, we can have a breach in one place, but we cannot have concurrently a breach for multi-places and all that stuff. How mature is this technology in order to be incorporated by commercial, let's say, companies?
So I think that previously we were referring to that as distributed computing. It didn't sound sexy enough, so we rebranded it. So
federated.
So now we are like federated. With that said, I believe that there are several mature solutions. Okay, I think that by separating data, putting them in different locations, or let's say having some watchdogs locally in order to see what's the story might be a very good measure. Nevertheless, I think that in order to be able to say that I'm a bit more secure, you also need to have an understanding of what's happening inside as well. So when you have many people who are into this vibe coding, who are very accustomed to say whatever they need to the LLM and just pop the data, the code or whatever, it is going for sure to happen that someone just says, well, you know, I have a problem with this database, get the connection string, get everything, and, well, your data is going to be leaked there, not because of an attacker, but someone internal, and no federation, no distributed, whatever you want to put there, it's not going to work. So it's not only the external danger that the risk that we have, but also the internal from people who are accustomed to have something ready. I think that this is something which we should be very cautious.
Yeah, thank you. But I believe that federation of data, federated processing, multi-party computation, okay, it's let's say, keywords that we use in research, but I think with the emergence of AI, all these new latest technology or experimental technology will incorporate by the business faster now, because we believe that artificial intelligence or the marketing of artificial intelligence will speed up all the processes. So, and all the industries would incorporate new technology in a faster.
Yes and no, because in many cases, for example, companies are very accustomed to the thing that I want my data here. So moving to something which is more distributed, if they are not distributed themselves, I don't think that they will be very eager to do it. You said the cloud thing before, and you saw the response that, for example, well, you know, we are not that
it took
secure
15 years, 10 to 15 years to move to the cloud.
Moving again, I don't think how ready they will be.
Okay. Okay, let's move to another section, let's say. Can we trust AI? Dimitra, do you believe that we can leave the decision to red button, the big red button, for the AI or agentic AI to take a decision instead of a person? How ready?
So even in my personal life, I am doing the risk assessment part. Even in the daily activities, I'm doing the risk assessment part. And if you have something that it's going to have a very high impact, even if the likelihood is low, I'm not sure I'm going to trust at this point, in the era that we are now with the AI agents, if I'm going to trust them to push the red button. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that I'm going to wait a little bit more for the likelihood to be even lower, for the security controls to be even more higher, and the people and all the technology to be more mature, in order to be able to say that for some of the decisions, I'm going to trust the AI to take them.
I have a similar question. You can answer, George, to this question, but I would say something to, I want to create more challenging for you. If, for example, there is another Scrooge with, which is automated, or everything with agent, do you believe that as a competition, you would see a serious competition, someone or a company, an alternative, a competitor that has AI, so can decrease the costs and increase the efficiency?
I would say yes. I don't know if it's going to happen now. I think it's going to happen later. But yes, we now have companies that are AI first, and we're eventually going to have companies that will be AI only, right? Because that's where things are going. And most people, non-security and this side of the fence people, don't care or understand enough about risks and risk management. They just want to do their jobs fast, and if everybody else is doing it, they feel the FOMO is strong, and they want to do the same thing. So if all of the new e-commerce sites that come out of China or the US or whatever are all AI-based, and that's the only option, then basically they're making the choice for you. You don't have a choice anymore that you're not going to trust the AI, because if the world works that way, you're eventually going to have to trust it, even if you don't trust it on a personal level. If that's how business is done, and if your competitor is doing the same thing you are with 1/5 of the cost in 5 times faster, you need to adapt or you're going to die, even if it's riskier, even if it's unsafe. And that comes from a guy that is risk averse, right? That my job is to go away from risk, not embrace it. But on the other hand, I know that everybody else will. My colleagues will use AI to do their jobs because they want to do their jobs faster, because the company wants to do things faster, because the competition is doing things faster. So we need to find a way to be part of that equation, rather than being the opposing force that always says no, and then people just find a way to bypass them because they want to do their jobs. So security people need to become AI innovators, as crazy as that sounds, because we need to be the first that actually understand the tech, understand the risks, and we can create an environment for people to work within that environment in as safe level as possible. So create a walled garden where they can freely innovate, but we set the rules. So we can have a red line that they cannot cross. It's not easy, though.
You gave me a very nice idea, and this question has, I will ask for all of you to reply. Who slows the innovation? Costa?
So I believe that my default answer here is well known, and I believe that it's going to be regulations. So currently, I think that one of the things that we produce a lot here in Europe is regulations. So
GDPR.
it's not only that. You can find many acronyms, many abbreviations with 3-4 letters that we have been trying to enforce. Some of them recently failed, like chat control or others. The point here is that we need to balance a bit between what we have to do in terms of what we're trying to create. We also need to put on the other side the ethics and try to see which are our common values, at least here in the EU, and try to see how we can do things properly. In general, I would say that the balance is more towards regulating stuff that is creating a lot of issues, and you can see the issue being depicted on how faster things work in the States or in China, which are, let's say, the big power horses in terms of AI, and I would say also other technologies. But I think that trying to push all these regulations to companies is slow things down.
I think we lost the train of AI because of all of this regulation. I think Europe is behind, far behind, I would say, from US and China, because they don't have all these rules. They let their research to work and to produce massive results. And now we use either OpenAI, ChatGPT, or DeepSeek, and there is no alternative.
Yeah,
George, but in your business, who you think slows innovation? The financial, the top management?
I agree with Kostas, but I think it's a symptom, not the cause. So definitely regulations do slow you down and create, unnecessary friction. You have two companies that are equal in terms of capacity and capabilities in the EU and the US. One company has to invest double the money just to be, compliant with many different regulations. And I think the EU is also recognizing that. You saw the omnibus they released last week, that they're trying to simplify GDPR, reduce some of the, the compliance requirements and all of that. But I think that's a symptom. I think it's a cultural thing, right? In the EU in general, and in Greece even more, we have a culture that doesn't tolerate failure a lot. So if you fail once as an entrepreneur, you're usually blacklisted in Europe, right? It's very hard to raise money again. No one's going to give you money. The banks blacklist you. The investors don't want to talk to you. You're a failure. In the US, failure is actually embraced. They actually think it's the path to success. I can't say if I agree fully or not, but this is what it is. Most of the founders usually fail 3-4 companies, and then they create a unicorn in the 5th time, and they are considered successful, right? So obviously, this means much more risk-taking, much less control. It's obviously much more ruthless as well. The only human right in the US is your right to make money, nothing else, right? It's we don't care about privacy, we don't care about people's freedoms or all of that. I mean, I'm oversimplifying, and it depends on where you are, but in the EU, we go the completely other way. We don't want to take risks. We don't want to try and fail. We only do, safe things that we know are going to succeed.
But we don't want innovation as well.
But that's not innovation, right? If you do things that you know they're going to succeed from the get-go, this is not innovation. You're just repeating things that somebody else did before.
There is a motto: high risk, high expectation. If you don't take
Correct.
any risk,
high risk, high return thing. So I think it needs to be a cultural shift that comes from the top, from entrepreneurs, from business leaders, from investors, that we need to take more risks within the culture of Europe. We're not going to change suddenly and become Chinese or Americans, but we need to be more open-minded, accept failure, accept that maybe we're going to fail a regulation at some point, maybe we're going to get fined. That's part of the risk we're taking. And if we put that into the business model, maybe it makes sense. Even if we get fined once or twice, we can still, get to the end faster than the competition, and then we can start fixing things. It depends on the industry. Obviously, critical sector needs to be more regulated, but I think that's what pushes innovation back.
Dimitra, would you like to?
I think that I mostly agree with George, but I want to add that the problem is not the compliance itself, it's the bad compliance. It's the people that they read the regulations, they read the laws, and they are not able to translate the way that the regulator wants to pass the measure, the control. So they are not really confident about the way that they're going to translate the regulation, so they over-regulate, they ban some innovation, some new stuff that the organization wants to do, because they don't feel really sure about the way that they're going to do it in the right way, in the compliant way. And that's the thing that George already said about the risk part. So they are not thinking about business, they are thinking about regulation, they are thinking about fines, and the blame mentality that we used to have.
I would like to add something to Kostas' also arguments, because with Kostas, we have experience in EU since we are involved in many European projects. So the last, let's say, 5-6 years in the European Commission, they say the biggest innovation of EU was GDPR.
And the bottle caps. Well.
Yes, yes, and the bottle caps. You cannot throw these bottle caps. So, and this is true. And a lot of lawyers in EU said that, okay, we have increased GDP 2% of the EU because of GDPR, and now they continue with AI Act, DORA, and other regulations, but I'm not so sure if we are going to succeed again, because GDPR was once, everybody wants to comply, but now with AI, nobody wants to comply about AI Act, and as I said, we lost the evolution of AI. Now, Costa, I would like to come to you with another question that has to do with your experience as a professor, as a researcher. We have a lot of research on adversarial AI, on let's say, training defense methods for AI-generated attack, but you know that we experiment on AI attacks in order to defend or to understand adversarial AI. What is the limit of this research? Do we fund, let's say, the next type of attack or the new generation of cyber attackers?
Well, I believe that we do the same for, in general, for offensive security. Okay, there's a lot of research about offensive security, how to discover vulnerabilities, how to exploit, how to create covert channels and anything. If we think that all this is done in order to, let's say, train the attackers, then we are actually diminishing the impact of offensive research. I think that by doing this, we are raising the bar, firstly, because, okay, showing the way that some attack is possible, you also raise the bar for the defense part, because they have to create mitigation measures in order to throttle this kind of attacks. So basically, I would say that this research is needed. I understand that it may put some people in discomfort because it shows that their system is not as advertised and it's not that good, but, well, we have to find it. At least from the research perspective, this is necessary in order for someone to say that, well, you know, this product is good. And one of the things that we have to be very, let's say, cautious is that, okay, since I found it, I'm not the only person in Earth. There are 8 more billion people. Well, at least I published it. Someone might not publish it and just exploit it on the wild, and you will not know it.
Yeah, but for the publication, somebody that is not aware about that, yes, it's let's say the bad side of the evolution of the knowledge sharing, because we have both.
Sharing is caring.
Yes, yes, yes. We are working also in the same field, and sometimes it's you don't know what to do.
Right.
Okay, if we go to the professionals, let's say, to our business, we serve different sectors. Do you believe that we are at risk, Dimitra, and professionals? What type of professional will face risk from the emergence of real AI systems?
Thinking about cybersecurity professionals, I think that this is something that we need to embrace. We need to think that this is something good for us. This is something that's going to accelerate our work, because in our everyday tasks, we need to do something that it is, I don't know, 60%, 70% like commodity, and then we need to have the other 40, 30% to think about the innovation, to think something new, to have a new methodology. So when we are using the AI agents, we accelerate our work, we accelerate this part of the task, and then we have more time to do something more sophisticated. So I think that we need to think about the AI agents like, I don't know, someone that is going to help us, someone that is going to do our life easier. And we cannot say that in the future, in the near future, we don't need cybersecurity professionals. I think that it's something that it's too far away.
Too far. George, what do you think?
Yeah, for the cyber part, I agree fully. I think security teams in business are always underfunded and under-resourced. So we finally have a way to kind of balance the scales there. And of course, we're going to get budget for it because AI is sexy for the investors, so cybersecurity isn't. So if we say we're using AI, they don't care how we use it. You get the budget for it, right? So I think cybersecurity people will actually have more work because breaches are going to speed up, they're going to happen a lot. More data are going to leak because they're more centralized, as we said before. So I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about the tech industry in general. So people that you're here today, most of you are in the tech sector. I think you're the last that have to worry about losing your jobs. I think we are the only ones, you are the only ones as engineers that actually understand what happens behind the curtain of AIs, LLMs, Gen AI, how the technology actually works, if it's magic or not. Obviously it's not, right? It's just very good mimicry. I think other sectors will definitely get hit harder, especially content generation, marketing for sure, especially like low-skilled part. It's very easy for you to create a small movie, an advertisement, a cover for a magazine, or a music record, or all of these like smaller industries that mostly generate content are going to get hit hard. Obviously, the quality is not the same, but most of these industries don't care about like, top quality that much. They want something which is cheap, goes out fast, and makes a bang. And you saw the Coca-Cola advertisement. I think it came out a couple of days ago. It's fully AI generated, the Christmas one. It doesn't look that different from the previous ones, to be fair, but it's fully AI generated, so a lot of people lost their jobs there, or at least lost their contracts, right? So I think these fields are more directly impacted in the next few years. I don't think engineers have to worry, but their skill set has to evolve. If you're thinking of being an engineer that basically knows JavaScript and Python and does backend and front-end coding, that's gone, guys. In five years, that's gone. You need to be a good architect. You need to be able to define problems clearly to the LLM
or
so they can actually code.
Metasploit and just...
or even that, but you need to be an architect. You need to understand how you shape a problem, how you create a solution, and then the coding part, can also be offloaded to an AI. You don't need to know what happens when you put together two floats in Python. The LLM can tell you what happens if you do that. But you need to understand the high-level concepts and the approach that you do in engineering. And engineering is not only coding, it's also systems administration, CI/CD, DevOps. These things are not yet automated, or they're barely automated, right? So if you write your code and it takes you a day to create a new app, it still takes us a couple of weeks to be able to put it in production in a safe place with a demarked network, with proper IAM and authentication, with SSO, with logging. All of that is not solved by AI. So you need to adapt and start looking into these things. And you also need to start working more with data. So data will become the king, because all of these LLMs and agents work because they have good data. So you need to have good data hygiene, data management, data classification. So become basically a data engineer along with a backend engineer or whatever, because most of your time you're going to spend curating your data so you can give them to an LLM to do your menial tasks for you. I think it just changes the approach, but it doesn't affect you in that sense. I think it's mostly fear-mongering from the media.
Thank you, George. Costa, how do you think the AI will affect, let's say, the training or the education procedure? And if the AI creates any problem to the evolution, to the skills, let's say, skills development process? Because we have noticed that, the AI replaced the junior, let's say, jobs. So if we skip juniors, how we're going to create the new architects, senior engineers and stuff, if we don't need juniors, we don't have junior positions?
I believe that answering the second part is more something that should be answered by my colleagues here. I will start with the first part of the question. So currently I'm teaching at a university, okay? We were used in giving assignments to students to code and things and try to cultivate specific skills in different programming languages and solve problems, etc. Nowadays, most of the students will just open ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever, and they will have the solution ready. So honestly, this skill seems to be like training people to create wheels, okay? No one's doing it. So this means that we have to adapt. From my perspective, I think that the biggest challenge for us in terms of academics is try to push science more, because we are in computer science. So the science part is something that LLMs or any agentic or AI cannot do by itself. It can help us as a tool, but it cannot do the work. So we need to push the science part.
If you don't know mathematics, you cannot work with AI, because I have a lot of students they cannot understand.
As a mathematician, I can definitely put a lot of pressure on that, but nevertheless, common practice will show you that, well, most of the people that are using AI quite successfully do not know anything about math. So The story here for me primarily is pushing towards science, towards pushing students to problem solving and what they will face as problems in what they will do in their work life, whether this is as programmers, vibe coders, or call it whatever it's going to happen. But for the rest of the part, I think that it's best for George or Dimitra to continue the discussion here.
I have a comment, George, sorry. It's, okay, AI is also applied mathematics. So you have to understand mathematics in order to be able to program it, to work with it, to check it. Because, okay, if you see LLMs, yes, you simply check the outcome. But when you want to develop things, you should know some sort of mathematics just to be able to evaluate the models and the outcome. And this is very important you mentioned. You mentioned science. So let's say the everyday, the tedious task, all this is, will be replaced. We will assign to AI, to the agents, to the machines, and we have to do the rest of the most sophisticated work. I don't know, George.
I would say that I agree. We're going to need juniors in that sense, like the traditional sense, less, because we can offload that part to the AI. But the truth is, people, the skill that will basically elevate people is self-motivation, right? Because back in our day, for you to learn a skill, a practical, technical skill for coding, you had to find a very good mentor in a company that was willing to share and was not gatekeeping, and most of them were gatekeeping. You know how the industry is, because they feel like they need to be irreplaceable for the company. So you had to find a mentor that really likes you, doesn't gatekeep, starts teaching you things, then you have to bust your head for 10 years on many different technologies, making mistakes and stuff, so you eventually start to understand. The good thing now is that you have a mentor that's very willing to share a lot of information and has the whole corpus of the world available. So if you use the tools, the LLM tools right, they can be a really good mentor, but the thing is you need to be self-motivated because no one is going to sit with you and teach you these things. You have to want to know, want to become a senior as fast as possible, and use the tools available, especially the AI tools, to speed up your learning process and accumulate knowledge on the layers that you want. You don't need the low-level details, but you need to understand IT architecture, best practices, DevOps, etc., etc. So using these tools the same way that they're trying to replace you, you can also become indispensable by speeding up your learning curve and becoming senior much faster than before. So if before a senior guy needed 10 years of experience, maybe now they just need 3 years of, I don't know, LLM mentoring or something. So I think that's the next thing. Obviously, not all people are capable of doing that, but...
Dimitra, would you like something to add on this?
Let's be honest. The work that the junior staff is doing can be replaced 80, 90%, but we need to build the next professionals. We need to have the next cybersecurity professionals. So we need to have them in our organizations, and we need to train them, and we need to mentor them in order to have the next generation. This is our job.
And especially in the field of cybersecurity, regardless the emergence of AI and the automation that really happens now, the gap of cybersecurity skills gap, I mean, the quality and the quantity is increasing. So this is very, very important. So I think we are about to end. We have 1.5 minutes. So I would like a final statement, considering the very generic question. Do you believe that we overestimate or underestimate the risks from agentic AI or from the emergence of real AI?
Go ahead. No? Oh, okay. So from my side, I believe that we are, let's say, speeding things up in terms of looking for dangers that are not right now, but are coming. Okay, so in that perspective, we have overestimated the current threat. Nevertheless, I don't believe that we have underestimated the actual threat. The actual threat, which is coming, is far bigger. So for the time being, yes, we are overestimating, but we have underestimated the final one.
Dimitra?
I don't know. I believe that we neither underestimate or overestimate. It's something that we don't know. What we need to do is that motto that I have read that says that the species that are survive are the ones that they are adopting fast. So we just need to adopt fast to the future.
Yeah, and I would say it depends on who you talk about. So if you speak with cybersecurity people, we have a good estimation of the risks because everybody is trying to solve it down our throats, right? Especially vendors, because they need to sell their new things. So we have an idea. I think the rest of the people obviously underestimate risks because they feel like it's a playground and nothing can go wrong. But I think we underestimate other threats more. We all talk about AI and we have completely forgotten PQC, post-quantum crypto, right? Nobody cares. Then in 2, 3, 5 years' time, a quantum computer will actually be generally available and suddenly we'll have no encryption. But nobody cares because we're all playing with AI now. So I think there are other risks that are way more underestimated than AI. The good thing with all of the media bombarding us with AI is people are actually looking on that part of the world, but not on other sectors. So I wouldn't worry that much about AI.
But it is true that no one can predict what will happen in 2 or 5 years. So
No.
we are living in an area or in a time frame, let's say, with a lot of things will come in the future. And
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Yes.
We're happy as long as we don't know.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was a very interesting discussion, at least from my side. I hope that you enjoy, and of course, you enjoy the answers from our respective of our panelists. And if there is any question, I don't know what is the procedure. We are the time finished.
I mean, you can find us outside as well, and we can talk.
If there is any question, it's difficult for us to see you, but if someone can raise his hand, I think we'll be... Oh, now it's better.
So sorry for the interruption, but we don't have time for
Okay,
questions.
So,
Thank you
thank you very
for having
much.
us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.